So, what to expect if you are elected? And I don't know if any of the rest of you in here became parents in the 90s, but there was a big Bible called What to Expect If You Are Expecting. And it made me a little paranoid. I hope not to have the same impact on you this evening. And all of my children have turned out wonderfully well, so maybe it works. I don't know. So the first point is it is a full-time position in Strathcona County. So it's remunerated as such, and it is a full-time position. If any of you have any friends on council, whether it be here or perhaps in some other jurisdictions, I think that they will likely advise you that it's more than full-time. I will not confirm or deny that because it's not up to me to do so, but it is definitely a full-time position. If you decide to run, and if there's one message that I can get through on this slide, if you decide to run, please do not plan a holiday for immediately after the election. Orientation is not only good practice, it will be mandatory under the Modernized Municipal Government Act, and it will need to be fairly thorough. Best practice would indicate that we would need to acquaint you with roles, responsibilities, the strategic plans, major plans of the organization, a lot of information on the actual organization and how it functions so that you will be able to perform your role appropriately. So, and a number of the key topics I know have been sort of touched on by Ian, but they would be covered in much more depth on the orientation program. If you are elected, it will be very busy after the election, especially for the first few weeks. Not only are there ongoing strategic discussions, confirmation of the strategic direction of council, there's budget meetings that come up. Those start in November. And that provides you with a lot of reading material, so large budget binders and things to go through. The county uses an innovative approach to budgeting that you've heard mentioned before, the priorities-based budgeting approach. So even learning that kind of, the way that works is important. We just received an award for that from the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators. So that's a little bit of a feather in the cap of the county. And I think if those of you who live here, which I'm sure you all do, or you wouldn't be interested in running for office, will note that we actually had a reduction in our tax rate last year. So. On an ongoing basis, there are generally 2 council meetings per month and 1 priorities committee meeting. And priorities committee involves all members of council. So that's at least 3 full-day meetings per month. So that's the meetings. In addition to those, of course, there are other committee meetings and external body meetings to which you may be appointed, advisory committees that you may be appointed to. So there are a number of responsibilities in that regard. Council meetings and priority committee meetings agendas can have a number of reports in them, so there can be a fair amount of material to read in advance. These are distributed electronically 1 week in advance of the meeting, so you have that much time to read and absorb the material and prepare yourself for the meeting. The electronic distribution has really helped a lot because we avoid some of the timelines that were required by printing. In addition to the responsibilities that we've talked about with respect to meetings and preparing yourself, there are also constituency and community responsibilities, and I know you brought that up earlier, that you do need to respond to residents, and you are their representatives, so you are their ears and someone who can take forward their concerns to council. There are also intergovernmental meetings, and I think that Ian had already mentioned that there's going to be a bit more of a focus under the Modernized Municipal Government Act in terms of a regional approach to governance, and that being now a duty of members of council to take that into consideration. So, but I don't want to scare you, because although the position of a municipal councillor is very, very busy, it's really an important way to serve your community. Municipal government is very important in our democratic system. It touches the lives of the citizens and residents every day. So really, it's a high calling indeed. So I do encourage you to consider continuing and not to be discouraged by anything you've heard today. Rather, we would hope to encourage you. This has been our first session of candidate information session, as we mentioned before, and we'd really appreciate hearing feedback from you. What worked for you, what you would like to hear more from us about, or what you might want to hear less from us about. But just if you have any feedback, we'd really appreciate, and you could certainly give that through that elections office address or legislative and legal services, whichever, and we'll be able to pick that up. So we do appreciate, we didn't do feedback forms this evening, but if you feel motivated, we would really love to hear from you. With that, I would like to thank the presenters, to Ian for coming out and being with us today, to Jacqueline and Kelly from our elections office, and Sandy from our governance office, and as well to Teresa and Chris from coming out from planning and development. We appreciate you being here with us this evening. And special thanks to all of you for taking the time to come out and hearing us. Please don't forget that if you have any questions or require any support, we'd be happy to do whatever we can for you, so don't hesitate to contact us. And I'll put a little plug for County Connect again. That's another simple way to get your questions in. So either way, electronically, phone us or email us, and we would be happy to try to assist you with anything you may have. So thank you again for attending, and it's been our pleasure to speak with you this evening. We'll be kind of hanging around a little bit. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask privately, we'd be happy to help you with that as well. So thank you very much.